Breaking all the rules, Gone with the Wind and the Hollywood Production Code. The year is 1927. The Jazz Singer is the first full-length movie with synchronized sound, and a hit with moviegoers. Film has entered the sound era. The age of subtitles and guessing what characters are saying has passed. Moral sins are not just being suggested, they're being explicitly stated. Sexual innuendo, miscegenation, profanity, illegal drug use, promiscuity, prostitution, infidelity, abortion, intense violence, and homosexuality have made Hollywood the Babylon of the 20th century. In 1922, after some risque films and a series of off-screen scandals involving Hollywood stars, the studios enlisted Presbyterian elder William H. Hayes to rehabilitate Hollywood's image. He was paid $100,000 a year, an equivalent of $1.3 million in today's dollars. Hollywood studios wanted to find a way to self-regulate their industry out of fear the government would begin censoring films. In response to this need for censorship, the Motion Picture Production Code was created. The code was a set of moral censorship guidelines that govern the production of United States motion pictures released by major studios from 1930 to 1968. It was also known as the Hays Code after William H. Hayes, Hollywood's chief censor. With the aid of the Hays Code, films would become wholesome. The anything goes rules of the industry would be abandoned in favor of tight regulation. The Motion Pictures Producers and Distributors of America, which later became the Motion Picture Association of America, MPAA, adopted the code in 1930, but didn't begin enforcing it until a few years later. Hollywood had a code, but they didn't follow it. That changed in 1934 when Joseph Breen took over the organization. At the urging of several prominent Catholic leaders and organizations, the code was heavily enforced. An amendment to the code, adopted on June 13, 1934, established the Production Code Administration, PCA, and required all films released on or after July 1, 1934, to obtain a certificate of approval before being released. No visual film image was immune to the code. Betty Boot was forced to change from a flapper to a housewife. Daniel A. Lord, a prominent member of the Catholic Church, wrote, "Silent smut had been bad. Vocal smut cried to the censors for vengeance." Thomas Doherty, a professor of American Studies at Brandeis University, defined the code as no mere list of thou shalt nots, but a homily that sought to yoke Catholic doctrine to Hollywood formula. The guilty are punished, the virtuous rewarded, the authority of the church and state is legitimate, and the bounds of matrimony are sacred. What resulted was a Jewish-owned business selling Roman Catholic theology to Protestant America. By 1939, following the code, or at least attempting to, was the norm in Hollywood. Then enter Gone with the Wind, a film which is based on Margaret Mitchell's best-selling novel by the same name. David O. Selznick, the producer of the film, had the rights and was determined to make a successful film, even though he knew the film would be a heavy violator of the code. But Joseph Breen wanted to make the movie a success as well, so much so that he offered suggestions to how Selznick could violate the code. Their wish for success was granted. Gone with the Wind made it through the censors and was a financial and critical success.
Gone with the Wind has captured the imagination and acclaim of the entire world. The screen has never known a love story to compare with this, when Rhett Butler meets Scarlett O'Hara.
I love you more than I've ever loved any woman. And I've waited longer for you than I've ever waited for any woman.
Let me alone!
Kiss me once.
Can't we ever forget that day at 12 Oaks?
Do you think I could ever forget it? Have you forgotten it? Can you honestly say you don't love me?
No, I don't love you.
It's a lie.
Well, even if it is a lie, do you think I'd go off and leave Melanie and the baby?
I'm not cornered. And you'll never corner me, Rhett Butler, or frighten me. You've lived in dirt so long you can't understand anything else. And you're jealous of something you can't understand. Good night.
It's not that easy, Scarlett. You turned me out while you chased Ashley Wilkes, while you dreamed of Ashley Wilkes. This is one night you're not turning me out.
A love affair you'll remember as long as you live, filled with all the fire and fury of the times in which it happened. Gone with the Wind. First picture to win 10 Academy Awards. The most honored, the most talked about motion picture in all film history.
On first glance, it doesn't look like the film violates the code, but that's because Breen, Selznick, and Sidney Howard, the screenwriter, worked tirelessly to circumvent the code. The code was divided into two sections, don't do's and be carefuls. The only don't do Selznick violated blatantly was the use of damn, which Breen fined him $5,000 for. Let's take a look at that scene.
Where shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Another don't do was childbirth, but by using silhouettes and focusing on Prissy and Scarlett instead of Melody, the scene was deemed acceptable.
Out before the Yankees get here. I'm not afraid. You know I won't leave you. You son gonna die. Don't be a goose, Melly. Hold on to me. Hold on to me. Talk to me, Scarlett. Please. Talk to me. Don't try to be brave, Melly. Yellow.
In the rape scene between Scarlett and Rhett, Breen suggested Rhett take Scarlett in his arms, kiss her and walk up the stairs, but the scene fades and there would be no throwing her on the bed. Additionally, in the second scene, Scarlett looks pleased, throwing whether it was rape into question.
It's not that easy, Scarlett. You turned me out while you chased Ashley Wilkes, while you dreamed of Ashley Wilkes. This is one night you're not turning me out.
It's a film about the Civil War. People die gruesome, painful deaths in the war. There's no way to avoid it in the film, but Selznick does. He uses extreme long shots or long shots of the dying soldiers. We never see any close-up of any injured soldier.
anyone here. I need every pair of hands. Now, come, child, wake up. We got work to do.
But Mellie's having a baby. You've got to come with me.
Are you crazy? I can't leave these men for a baby. They're dying, hundreds of them. Get some woman to help you.
But there isn't anybody, and Dr. Beachy might die.
Die? Look at them, bleeding to death in front of my eyes. No chloroform, no bandages, nothing. Nothing to even ease their pain. Now run along and don't bother me. Oh, don't worry, child. There's nothing to bring in a baby. I'll bring the stretchers in here.
Dr. Mead?
Yeah, I'm coming.
Lustful kissing was against the code, but Gone with the Wind is a film about romance. Kissing and lust is a must. Scarlett and Rhett passionately kiss, but the focus is on Rhett. He essentially smothers her.
Right there.
Scarlett, look at me. I love you more than I've ever loved any woman. And I've waited longer for you than I've ever waited for any woman.
Let me alone.
Here's a soldier of the South who loves you, Scarlett. Wants to feel your arms around him. Wants to carry the memory of your kisses into battle with him. Never mind about loving me. You're a woman sending a soldier to his death with a beautiful memory. Scarlett, kiss me. Kiss me once.
Prostitution, or as it was worded in the code, women selling their virtue, was not to be shown in films. Selznick refused to back down. He wanted Belle Watling to be a prostitute. Selznick changed the brothel to a saloon, but the suggestion that Belle's a prostitute remained. It is of course never explicitly stated that she's a prostitute, but it is suggested several times, most blatantly when Belle speaks to Melanie, and neither states why it's not fitting for Belle to enter Melanie's home.
Who is it? It's Miss Watling. Oh, Miss Watling. Won't you come in the house? Oh, no, I couldn't do that, Miss Wilkes. You come in and sit a minute with me.
How can I thank you enough for what you did for us? How can any of us thank you enough?
I got your note saying you was going to call on me and thank me. Why, Miss Wilkes, you must have lost your mind. I come up here as soon as it was dark to tell you you mustn't even think of any such thing. Why, well, it wouldn't be fitting at all.
It wouldn't be fitting for me to call and thank a kind woman who saved my husband's life?
Miss Wilkes, there ain't never been a lady in this town nice to me like you was. I mean about the money for the hospital, you know. And I don't forget a kindness. And I got to thinking about you being left a widow with a little boy. Mr. Wilkes got hung, and he's a nice little boy. Your boy is Miss Wilkes. I got a boy myself, and so I... Oh, you have? Does he live? Oh, no, he ain't here in Atlanta. He ain't never been here. He's off at school. I ain't seen him since he was little. Well, anyways, if it had been that Miss Kennedy's husband by himself, I wouldn't have lifted a finger no matter what Captain Butler said. She's a mighty cold woman, prancing about Atlanta by herself. She killed her husband, same as if she shot him.
You mustn't say unkind things about my sister-in-law.
Oh. Please don't freeze me, Miss Wilkes. I forgot how you liked her. But she just ain't in the same class with you, and I can't help it if I think so. Well, anyways, I gotta be going. I'm scared somebody will recognize this carriage if I stayed here any longer. That wouldn't do you no good. And Miss Wilkes, if you ever see me on the street, you don't have to speak to me. I'll understand.
I should be proud to speak to you. Proud to be under obligation to you. I hope we meet again.
Oh, no. That wouldn't be fitting. Good night, Miss Wilkes.
Good night, Miss Watling. And you're wrong about Miss Kennedy. She's broken-hearted about her husband.
By the late 1960s, enforcement of the code had become impossible, and the production code was abandoned entirely. In the late 1960s, there were a slew of films that blatantly violated the code. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, Blow Up, and The Pawnbroker are just a few of the most notable. The MPAA film rating system went into effect on November 1st, 1968. It is currently still in use today, although the labels for films have undergone minor changes. The MPAA rating system began with 4 ratings: G for general audiences, M for mature content, R for restricted, which means under 17 not admitted without an adult, and X for sexually explicit content. The trailer from the documentary This Film Is Not Yet Rated does an excellent job of explaining the current rating system.
What do movie ratings mean? G means general audiences. No nudity, no sex, and no drugs. Violence must be cartoonish and minimal. And there may be language that goes beyond polite conversation. PG means parental guidance. There may be strong language, like shit or ass, and brief nudity, like showing off an ass, or light violence, like getting kicked in the ass. PG-13. Parents are strongly cautioned, as in, look out, Mom, here come more shits. Bullshit, dumb shit, little shit, shit-faced, and shithead. Fuck is also allowed, but usually just once, so filmmakers are urged to choose their fuck carefully. A simple fuck you is okay, but referring to the sexual act as in, may I please fuck you, or I enjoy getting fucked, is totally unacceptable. If a character says that, especially while abusing an illegal narcotic, the film is rated R. R means restricted. No children 17 or under without parent or guardian. There may be sexual themes, frank sex talk, sexualized nudity, tough language, and tough violence, like 1,000 handicapped orphans decimated by a hail of gunfire. But if the film depicts realistic baby-making in a position other than missionary, acts involving oral sex with females, anal sex, fetishes, more than 2 humans, or what the MPAA deems aberrational behavior, that film could get slapped with an NC-17. NC-17 means no children 17 or under, period. An NC-17 may range from a senior citizen gangbang to a foreign Pedro Almodovar film. But art films make people feel funny, especially the ones with aberrational behavior.
Under the Hays Code, many popular and critically acclaimed films could have never been shown in theaters. The adoption of the MPAA rating system allows filmmakers to tell the stories they want, while also allowing audiences to determine how much violence, sex, or profanity they want to be exposed. Once the sun set on the Hays Code, a new dawn of movie making could begin.